Now at 5, the vice president here in Indianapolis, as a redistricting proposal to flip one congressional district to Republicans is making headlines. Why our state lawmakers say the focus is on Indiana.
Protesting the vice president's visit, the opposition this group expressed to redrawing those congressional districts.
And temperatures at this hour in the 80s, but we're headed for more 90s as we get closer and closer to the weekend.
Preseason game number 1 going on for the Colts tonight in Baltimore against the Ravens. It's our first look at Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones in live game action. See what happens. Live from Indy, you're watching 13 News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us at 5. Dustin's in for Felicia tonight. And tonight we start with this talk about redrawing congressional district lines here in Indiana and doing so 5 years ahead of schedule in the state of Indiana.
This follows Vice President J.D. Vance's brief stop here in Indy for a discussion with the governor, as well as a fundraiser earlier today. We have team coverage of today's visit. Our Brandon Schaff was at the State House where protesters showed their opposition to the vice president's visit.
And we're going to start our coverage tonight with our Emily Longnecker with reaction from Democrats today to this plan. Emily.
Well, Ann and Dustin, Democrats call this a power grab, plain and simple. And they say that this is really about the Trump administration's fear of losing Republican seats in the House of Representatives in the midterms come 2026. And that's why they say that this discussion is even happening 5 years ahead of the next census. Now, Republican lawmakers, the leadership here at the State House and the governor, they haven't said that redistricting is happening, but we do know it was a topic today in that closed-door meeting between the governor and the vice president. So could Governor Braun call a special session to make it happen? Well, Democrats we spoke with today, Democratic lawmakers, say they believe it is all but a done deal. And that's what they told voters who gathered at the Indiana State House today to hear how they plan to fight back. Democrats characterize this possible move as cheating and an attempt to rewrite the rules to silence the voices of voters. Indiana has 9 congressional districts. 7 of them are held by Republican lawmakers. 2 of them are held by Democrats, Congressman Andre Carson and Congressman Frank Mrvan. It's Indiana state lawmakers who would be called into a special session to decide whether those congressional districts should be redrawn. Some of them spoke out today against it.
This morning, Vice President J.D. Vance came to this building not to listen to Hoosiers, not to fight for working families, not to solve problems. He's here to rig Indiana. Not because the people asked for it, not because it reflects our values, but because they are terrified of something bigger than themselves. You, the voters.
And some of those voters were here today at the Indiana State House to hear what these lawmakers, these Democratic lawmakers had to say, and also to speak out. My colleague Brandon Schaff talked to them. What did they have to say, Brandon?
Yeah, good evening, Emily. So, you know, a lot of eyes were on the State House here today as Vice President J.D. Vance came to visit with Governor Mike Braun. And you had a lot of people who had a lot of opinions about that visit today. So let's show you the scene that happened right here at the State House. In the rotunda, hundreds of people gathering, many of them with signs making it clear their stance on the vice president's visit right here to the state capitol. Vance leaving the State House after that morning meeting with top Republican lawmakers, including the governor, and they talked about a potential effort to redraw Indiana's congressional districts. Well, I spoke with a man named Kevin Galley. He moved here in 2018 from Wisconsin. He's a retired attorney and registered Democrat, telling me that he came to the State House today because of what's important to him: protecting democracy.
If you start with the fundamentals, the rule of law, separation of powers, the power that traditional institutions create in our governmental architecture, all those things are important. They're all being eroded very rapidly.
And with the vice president in town, Galley says that it was important for his voice to be heard. He talked about President Donald Trump saying that the GOP is entitled to congressional seats down in Texas, and the next step is right here in Indiana. And that concept of entitlement, well, he says that that was what brought him here today in opposition. And he added that he hopes that the governor will use reason and caution, listening to the vice president's message about redistricting. Back to you guys.
All right, Brandon, thank you.
Several Indiana state Republican lawmakers now are reacting to the VP's president today, and that includes Senate President Rod Bray. In fact, he released a statement saying it was a productive meeting touching on several topics. He said in part, quote, appreciated the opportunity to hear from the vice president on a variety of issues, which we will continue to talk through in the days ahead. We have more responses from other state leaders that you can go through right now if you head to our website at WTHR.com.
Other news now in Noblesville, a chemical explosion there this afternoon downtown. Indiana American Water says its treatment plant had to shut down after a chemical feed explosion. It happened around 1:15 just north of the courthouse. A shelter in place was issued for that area. It was lifted just a couple hours later, around 3:30. The company says nobody was hurt, but one employee did go to the hospital just as a precaution. We're told this whole incident did not impact water service. Rob, how hot did it get today?
88. That was our high temperature for today. Keep in mind, our average high this time of year is 85. So we're close, but we're a little bit above the average for this time of year. It's nowhere near that record high of 98. Now, those temperatures have started to cool back down. We're now down to 87. It is humid, but it's not humid enough or warm enough that we're really talking too much about heat index. I'll show you the numbers. There are some values here that feel like it's 90 plus, but overall it's nowhere near what we were feeling like about, say, 2 weeks or so ago. There are a couple of showers that have been popping up on radar. One right over Richmond right now, so if you're there, you're seeing how heavily the rain is coming down. Farther to the west, another in Vigo County. There's actually a flood advisory, but for the most part, it remains dry, and we're likely to see that continue. Low temperatures tonight around 70. We go to 90 tomorrow. I'll talk about the forecast for the weekend coming up.
All right, Rob, thanks so much. Meantime, the Marion County coroner has now positively identified the bicyclist who was killed in a hit-and-run crash on the northwest side. The coroner's office says 40-year-old Dustin Masters died from the injuries in that crash that happened near 16th and Tibbs. It happened around 6 o'clock in the morning yesterday. So far, police have not released any information about the possible suspect or driver in this case.
An Indianapolis man is now headed to prison after a jury convicted him of murder.
And the prosecutor says the victim is the one who told police who killed him. Sonny Gilbert was shot in August of 2023. This happened near East 38th and Keystone. Officers say when they arrived, he told them Michael Coleman shot him.
Hours later, Gilbert died at the hospital. The jury convicted Coleman after a 3-day trial. His sentencing is scheduled for August 22nd. An Anderson man will spend more than 5 years in federal prison for impersonating a Homeland Security officer and having Molotov cocktails. A federal judge also sentenced Joshua Stearman to 3 years of supervised release after his time in prison. According to court documents, a witness saw Stearman approach a house carrying something, then ran away when security lights came on. Officers said he showed them his driver's license and a fake government ID when they pulled him over. Officers said they also found 4 bottles filled with gasoline, each with cloth wicks and wood pieces, and a lighter in his car.
Several Indianapolis teams are in action, and one of them is the Indianapolis Colts. They will kick off their preseason play tonight on the East Coast in Baltimore.
And we are getting a better idea of which quarterback will play when during the game. Dominic Miranda joins us with what you should expect tonight.
We are gearing up for the Colts' first preseason action of the season tonight. It's up in Baltimore against the Ravens, and we learned a lot on Tuesday when these two teams practiced jointly ahead of this game. We'll see what we glean from tonight's matchup. One thing we do know is how the quarterback situation will work. Anthony Richardson will start. He'll play a quarter and a half, while Daniel Jones will come in and finish out the second half of the second quarter. We'll see how these two fare in live game action. This quarterback competition is still very much ongoing, so something to keep an eye out for. But concerning this team at large, this is just a great opportunity against a perennially successful team in the Baltimore Ravens. Great chance for the young guys and just high-level competition in general, kind of separation time for as far as making the roster, right? Colts fared very well in the joint practice on Tuesday, moving the ball exceptionally well in the 11-on-11 periods. We'll see if that carries over here tonight. First-year Colt and veteran safety Cam Bynum says this is what it's all about, finding out your mettle against the team with a different uniform on as we push ahead to the start of the season.
Yeah, I'm just excited. Being able to watch a lot of the guys, go out there and get the game reps and be able to go out there and show the work that we've all put in as a team and be able to compete against another team. It's just going to be fun, and especially for me being able to put on a new uniform. I'm excited for that.
We're certainly going to learn a lot tonight. There's no doubt about that. Coming up for you at 6, we'll have much more on what you can expect tonight offensively and defensively as the Colts gear up for their first preseason action. Should be a lot of fun. We'll see you at 6.
Football means back to school season 2, and right now we have so many families that are adjusting to a brand new school year.
And parents, the state attorney general is reminding you of your rights, what you need to know. That's ahead at 5:30. Rob?
And most of the rain chances have been very small, very isolated in nature, but right now we're watching a pop-up over Crawfordsville. I'll show you the radar, let you know about increasing rain chances over the weekend.
I'm Ella Rhodes at the Children's Museum, where there is a free back-to-school vaccination clinic. We'll tell you more.